2 kilometers deep inside a pitch-black cave on an island most people have never heard of, the walls are covered in writing. Nearly 250 signatures, in 6 different ancient scripts, left by sailors from 6 different civilizations, across 600 years. A 2,000-year-old guestbook carved into stone, in the dark, because this island once sat at the crossroads of the entire ancient world. And then, the world forgot it. For 1,000 years. While it was alone, it grew a forest that exists nowhere else on Earth, trees that bleed red when you cut them. This is Socotra. And the real question isn't what happened while the world was gone. It's what happens now that the world has come back. To understand any of it, you have to start with the trees. The first thing you see, rising off the Dixam plateau, is a forest that looks like it belongs on another planet. Hundreds of trees with dense, upturned crowns, shaped like umbrellas blown inside out, thick, pale trunks, branches that fork out in a pattern so even it looks designed. And if you cut the bark even a little, what runs out isn't sap. It's a deep, vivid crimson, like blood. An ancient legend explained it simply. This was the blood of a dragon, spilled in a battle with a great elephant, soaked forever into the tree. But the truth is stranger than the legend, because these trees are not aliens, they're survivors. Millions of years ago, whole forests like this stretched across the ancient world, as far as the Mediterranean and beyond. Then the climate changed. The world dried out, and one region at a time, these forests died. Everywhere except here. The dragon's blood tree still forms a true woodland in exactly one place on Earth. This plateau, the last of its kind. The rest of the planet moved on. Socotra simply remembered. But that raises a question. Why here? Why did this one island keep what everywhere else lost? The answer is written into the rock itself. Socotra is not a normal island. It's a broken piece of a lost supercontinent. Around 6 million years ago, the same forces that split open the Gulf of Aden tore this landmass away from Africa, and it drifted off into the Indian Ocean, alone. So today, Socotra is a paradox. Politically, it belongs to Yemen, but geographically, it still belongs to Africa. Its mountains rise from stone older than complex life itself, and those mountains do something magical. They catch the sea winds and squeeze fog and cloud from the air. That's how the dragon's blood trees drink. Their umbrella crowns comb moisture straight out of the mist and drip it down to their own roots. And where that hidden water surfaces, it's breathtaking. High in a place called Hill, a natural stone pool sits right at the lip of a cliff, a wild infinity pool, spilling toward the sea 1,000 feet below. 6 million years of isolation created something almost unmatched on Earth. On Socotra, more than a third of the plants grow nowhere else, 90% of its reptiles, nearly all of its land snails. UNESCO calls it the Galapagos of the Indian Ocean, but there's a difference. The Galapagos was born from volcanoes, brand new land, filling with new life. Socotra is the opposite. Nothing here is new. Everything here is old. It's not a place where life began. It's a place where ancient life refused to die. And long ago, the entire ancient world wanted a piece of it. To understand why, you have to understand 4 things this island produced: frankincense, myrrh, aloe, and dragon's blood. In the ancient world, these weren't luxuries. They were closer to sacred technology. Frankincense wasn't a nice smell. It was a religious necessity, the smoke that carried prayers to the gods. Myrrh preserved the dead. Aloe healed wounds. And dragon's blood resin was a dye, a medicine, even a lipstick. And Socotra was one of the only places on Earth that produced all 4. So the ancient world came for it. The Greeks gave the island a name, Dioscorida. Legend even says the philosopher Aristotle told Alexander the Great to seize it, to secure its healing resin for his armies. Its remoteness didn't make it worthless, it made it priceless. The harder it was to reach, the more its treasures were worth. The ancient Phoenicians even believed this island was the secret home of the phoenix, the immortal bird that burned itself to ash and rose again, reborn. Even its name may hold that history. Some believe it comes from the Arabic for the market of dragon's blood. Others trace it back to ancient Sanskrit, a phrase meaning the island of bliss. Ships came from India, from Roman Egypt, from the kingdoms of Africa. And some of their sailors climbed to that cave, lit torches, walked into the dark, and signed their names. But guestbooks close, and one day the ships simply stopped coming. The trade routes shifted. The monsoon commerce that made Socotra essential moved on to other ports. The island didn't collapse. It just became unnecessary, and the world let it disappear. For the next 1,000 years, Socotra existed in a kind of suspension. When the explorer Marco Polo wrote about it in the 13th century, he described its people as Christians and as sorcerers, who could conjure the winds and hold ships captive at sea. For centuries, the Soqotri were among the most remote Christian communities on Earth before eventually turning to Islam. And here's a detail that haunts me. When the Portuguese arrived 500 years ago, they wrote down what they saw: crocodiles, rivers, wetlands, water buffalo. Not one of those exists today. The rivers are dry gullies now. The wetlands are gone. An entire living landscape simply vanished, slowly, quietly, while no one was watching. Empires came and went. The British, the Soviets, sultans and civil wars. And through all of it, the trees kept growing. The turtles kept returning to the same beaches. The island absorbed the politics of each era and outlasted every one, until finally science came looking. And what it found stunned the world. In 1880, a young Scottish botanist landed here expecting an island. He found a laboratory. In a single expedition, he collected around 500 plants. More than 200 of them were completely new to science. And every expedition since has confirmed the same thing. Socotra isn't just diverse, it's a time capsule. Look closely, and the wonders multiply. Overhead, Egyptian vultures ride the rising heat in slow, patient spirals, and nowhere else on Earth do they gather in numbers like this. In fact, apart from bats, Socotra has no native land mammals at all. The vulture rules a food chain that barely exists. There's a gecko, no longer than your finger, that lives its entire life in the branches of the dragon's blood tree and nowhere else on Earth. Kill the tree, and you kill the gecko with it. There's a tree with a fat, swollen, bottle-shaped trunk that belongs to the same family as the cucumber and the pumpkin. It's the only member of that family anywhere in the world that grows as a tree, and it's older than the very sea that surrounds the island. There's the desert rose, a bloated gray trunk clinging to bare rock that suddenly erupts in vivid pink flowers, like a sculpture that decided, against all logic, to bloom. And there are the land snails, 96 different species, almost all of them found only here. Nobody photographs a snail, but each one is a tiny piece of proof that on this island, life itself branched differently. But the most remarkable thing on Socotra isn't a tree or a lizard or a shell. It's a sound. Quick pause. If you love these last untouched corners of the world, the ones the rest of the planet forgot, this channel is made for you. A subscribe keeps the journeys coming. Now that sound. The people of this island call themselves Soqotri. Around 60,000 of them live here, herding goats in the highlands and fishing the coast, much as their ancestors did for thousands of years. Their fishermen still find their way by the color of the water and the path of the stars, reading the sea in a vocabulary more exact than any chart. And they speak a language that is quietly one of the rarest treasures on the planet. It's called Soqotri, and it is not a dialect of Arabic. An Arabic speaker cannot understand a single word of it. It's older than Arabic, a survivor from before Islam, from a branch of language almost entirely lost, and it has never been written down, not once. No alphabet, no keyboard. It exists only in the air, in human voices. But listen to what those voices carry. Soqotri has dozens of separate words just for kinds of cloud and rain. A different word for a goat at 6 months, at 1 year, at 3 years. The language maps the land the way a scientist maps stone. And now it's fading. Arabic is the language of school, of phones, of the internet, so the young are drifting away from the old words. But some refuse to let it die. Young poets now hold competitions where you must compose entirely in Soqotri, and a single Arabic word gets you disqualified. Men and women both take part, performing poems that will never be written down, only remembered. An entire library held in the minds of a few thousand people on one island, and no book to catch it if those voices go quiet. But the language isn't the only thing here now living on borrowed time. For 6 million years, Socotra's greatest protection was simple. It was forgotten. That protection is gone. First came nature's warning. In November 2015, 2 cyclones struck the island in a single week, something the records had never seen before. In under 48 hours, Socotra was hit with more than 3 years' worth of rain. Homes flattened, boats splintered, whole valleys torn apart. Then came something harder to fix: people. Socotra sits beside some of the busiest shipping lanes on Earth, near the mouth of the Red Sea, and a strategic island is a tempting prize. So a foreign power moved in, first with aid, food, tents, fuel, a whole new residential town for storm victims, then with control. Its companies took over the island's phone network. Its firms took the fishing trade, the electricity, the fuel. And then reports began to surface that were almost unthinkable, that protected dragon's blood trees, the irreplaceable symbol of the island, were being dug up and shipped abroad, that on a neighboring islet a military airstrip was rising from the rock. It's an old pattern. Come as a helper, stay as a landlord, and the people who've lived here for millennia can only watch. But even now, the deepest danger to Socotra isn't the ships or the soldiers. It's happening silently, out in the forest. The dragon's blood tree is in trouble. Deep trouble. It now survives on just a fraction of the island it once covered, and in some forests, its numbers have fallen by nearly half in a single century. The cause is a slow, brutal combination. The climate is drying, so there's less fog for the trees to drink, and introduced goats eat almost every young seedling before it can grow. So walk into the great forest today, and you notice something eerie. Almost every tree is old. 300 years, 500, ancient giants. But there are almost no young ones. It is a forest of elders, with no children. Scientists have done the math. If nothing changes, the greatest dragon's blood forest on Earth could begin falling apart within 30 to 70 years. And when that umbrella canopy goes, everything beneath it goes too. The gecko, the rare plants, the whole hidden world that shelters in its shade. And yet, on the slopes, local Socotrans carry water by hand, up the limestone, to saplings that won't reach full height in their own lifetimes. On the coast, volunteers guard sea turtle nests through the night, and last season, 70% of the protected nests made it safely to the sea. No foreign army is doing that work, no government, just people, quietly refusing to let their island slip away. Which brings us back to the question we started with. The world loves to call Socotra the most alien place on Earth, but that word is exactly wrong. Socotra isn't alien, it's ancestral. It's a fragment of a world that used to exist everywhere, and now exists only here. It survived being torn from a continent. It survived the drying of the land and the collapse of every trade route that once made it rich. It survived all of it for one reason: because it was forgotten. That was its protection. And now, that protection is over. The world has finally come back for its trees, its waters, its position on the map. The forest still stands. 35,000 ancient trees, their canopies spread against the sky like a design from an age this planet has otherwise abandoned. The turtles still return. The old poets still compose verses no one will ever write down. None of it is guaranteed to last. But none of it has stopped yet. Whether this is a beginning or an ending depends entirely on what the world chooses to do next.